and welcome to episode 73 of the Giddy Knits podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 6, and Jasper, who is 3. Today is Monday the 21st of September, and if anyone that doesn't know, although I'm sure you all do by now, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and this is a knitting / crafty podcast. Yeah, there we go. Hello. I'm recording a little bit later in the day than I would normally do on a Monday. It's about 4 o'clock, I think, something like that, maybe even 3:30. Tom has got the day off, so he is watching the kids at the moment, but we have had a busy day and there's been lots going on, more of which I will share at the end of the podcast. So this is the first opportunity I've really had to sit down and record, and I wanted to get an episode recorded, even if it is a little bit later in the day. Not that it will make much difference to you, because hopefully this will still go up on Tuesday and yeah, it won't make a difference. But anyway, it's a bit later in the day, which means the kids are around, which means there might be background noise and there might be interruptions. That was kind of why I wanted to say that. What else did I want to say? Don't know. It is actually quite warm, so apologies if I'm a little bit shiny, and apologies if my hands are covered in dye, because I'm recording later in the day. I've obviously been working. So that's that. Okay, what have I got for you? Let's start with that. What have I got for you this episode? So, a quick chat and a quick reminder about our knit-alongs, make-alongs at the beginning. I have got a finished object to share. I am going to talk about a couple of works in progress. I've got a couple of new cast-ons to share. I'm going to touch on a little bit of blanket progress, and then I will finish off with a teeny tiny bit of shop news and also a little bit of life news as well, right at the end. So let's get stuck in, shall we? Admin wise, we have got 2 make-alongs running at the moment. So the Giddy Yarns make-along, which is my ongoing make-along specific to my yarn, so specific to Giddy Yarns. It's, as I said, an ongoing make-along. It doesn't have an end date, but I do quarterly prizes. So the next prize draw is due at the end of September. So if you've got any Giddy Yarns projects on the needles and you want to be entered into prizes, then get them finished up and in the finished object thread in Ravelry, or use the hashtag on Instagram, which is Giddy Yarns FO. Show notes. Everything that I talk about will be linked down below in the show notes, including where you can enter make-alongs in various places, and also all the rules, I think, for the make-alongs as well. So that's that one. And then we also have the Halloween make-along running at the moment, one of my favourite make-alongs of the year. And again, that's running in Ravelry and also on Instagram. So there are hashtags that you can use on Instagram. So it's the GY for Giddy Yarns, Halloween, MAL for make-along, and that you can just use for chatter. And if you use that hashtag, then as long as your profile isn't private, I might share your pictures in my stories just to share kind of what other people are doing in the make-along on Instagram. And if you want to enter your finished objects on Instagram rather than in the Ravelry group, then you can just stick an FO on the end of that hashtag and that will be your entry. The make-along is running right up until the end of October. I'll probably close the thread on the 1st of November and then draw some prizes. I still haven't sorted out prizes. There will obviously be yarny prizes from me at Giddy Yarns. If anybody out there fancies donating prizes, then that would be brilliant. But I will put together some yarny prizes for that one. I think that's all, the make-along wise. Yeah, I need a quick drink. I'm very unhealthily drinking, well, it's not unhealthy really, is it? But anyway, I'm drinking Diet Coke. Normally it's a cup of tea, but it's hot and it's the afternoon and I just fancied something cold. Right, what was next? Knitting content, finished object. I have a finished object. I have made a cushion. So the eagle-eyed among you will recognise this as my Battenberg blanket. And I talked about it on the podcast a few episodes ago and how I'd kind of fallen out of love with the process of making the blanket. I really struggled with the neutral squares. I just got really bored making the neutral squares. I wanted to crochet up loads of the coloured ones and then not so many of the neutral ones. So I took a leaf out of Ellie at Craft House Magic's book, and she turned hers into a cushion. And I decided to do the same, and yeah, here it is. So the Battenberg blanket pattern is a pattern by Sandra Paul of Cherry Heart, and it basically is a pattern that you in fact I've altered the pattern even a little bit. So with the pattern you create granny squares. These are kind of solidy granny square things. I don't know crochet terminology, so apologies for that. And I think in her pattern it's 3 rounds, but I've done 4, so I've made slightly bigger squares. And you alternate the colour with a neutral, and then you create a big blanket. But I obviously have not done that. I've turned it into a pillow. And basically what I did is, this is the width. So this here is the width that my blanket had got to. And then the length was enough that all I had to do was I kind of folded it up. So if I turn it round, you can see at the back here, I fixed it with a couple of buttons. And it's just folded to kind of midway down. There's about 3 rows. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show this. I wonder if I can undo these buttons. They're a little bit big for the holes, so I'm a bit worried about undoing them too much. There we go. We did it. Right, I've undone 1 button, so you should be able to see in theory. There we go. So I've just folded it over, and it kind of overlaps by about 3 squares. And then I've just brought it up, and all I did is I held it right sides together, and I just crocheted I did that, is it single crochet? The squares together, the same way that you join it basically, with the right sides together and then crochet the edges together. So that's basically what I did down the whole length. And at one point where the overlap is here, you've actually got 3 layers being crocheted together through the join. If I turn it inside out slightly, you might be able to see that. But let's get the cushion out and turn the whole thing inside out. There we go. So yeah, basically I folded it in half, like this, and at this end you've got 3 layers. Still not quite right. Not showing this very well, am I? At this end you've got 3 layers, and I've just done kind of single crochet to join them all together. Trying to see where's the best to show that. I don't know. Anyway, you know what I mean. I've joined them all together, just joined them down the side by crocheting them together. I've then turned it the right way round and popped the buttons on. And with the buttons, all I've done is I've just sewn the buttons onto, just sewn them on with a little bit of yarn, and then they just pop through one of the crochet holes on here. You can probably see a bit more clearly on this one here. As I said, my buttons are a little bit big, a little bit tight for it, but it does the job, and I'm quite happy with the finished result. I'd like to get a different cushion thingy. Don't know. I'd like to get a different cushion thing to go inside it, because this is actually just an old cushion from our sofa, with an old cover on, and I've left the cover on just because I think the actual cushion inside it is a bit of a mess. But yeah, I'd like to get a different one at some point, but for the moment, see if I can get that button back on. Yeek, there we go. For the moment, there it is, and I have a big cushion which is going to live up in the office because I don't trust the boys not to destroy it. But it's quite nice feeling as well to have that Battenberg blanket off my needles, or off my hook I guess, and into something functional and practical and pretty. Right, I've talked for far too long about that one project, so let's move on. I had 2 other works in progress that I wanted to share with you. First of all, I have made a little bit of progress on what I'm calling my birthday socks. I've got a little intruder again.
I can sit down with
You want to, okay, but you have to be sensible, okay?
Yeah, I've got my switch up.
Okay.
I can sit by you. Hello!
Okay, as I said, I have a little intruder who is now sat here on his Switch. This is the problem with recording when they're home. But I have made a little bit of progress on, as I said, what I'm calling my birthday socks. So I thought I would share those. So these are the socks that I've been making out of the minis that I got from Kate Celine. Please don't put your foot on there because you'll drop the camera. Okay, if you want to put your feet up, they can go up on the sofa. With the minis that I got from Kate Celine, and let's take them out of the yarn cozies. So this one has just had the one stripe added to it, and this one I think has had 2 stripes added to it. So they are back up even again. I've got 2 more colours and then the toe to go on these, and they will be finished. I'm really enjoying them. I really like the fact that all the minis are from the same dyer, so they've got quite a kind of similar feel to them. Kate Celine's got a very distinctive style of dyeing as well, hasn't she? So I think that makes quite a difference. But yeah, my birthday socks are coming along, despite the fact that my birthday was nearly 2 months ago. You know, maybe they'll be finished by my next birthday. And then one more work in progress to share with you as well, and that is my Vertices Unite, which I have still been making progress on. Now that I've got Arthur sitting next to me, I've got nowhere to put my bags. You may have noticed, actually, if there are even more eagle-eyed of you, I am back in my old podcasting location. We have had a big move around of the office. We've changed up a little bit of the storage, because now that Tom and I are having to kind of share it, he's still working from home, at least for this term anyway. We needed to do something basically to make it a little bit more functional for both of us to work in, with a little bit more storage space. It's getting to that time of year as well, with Advent dyeing, where my office is getting overtaken by packaging. I've got all the boxes that the Advents are going to be shipped in. I've got all the bags that the Advents are going to be put in. I'm obviously in the process of dyeing all the Advents, which creates a lot of minis. So storage was becoming a bit of an issue. So we've had a move around, and it means that I am back sat under my shelves, which is quite nice actually. Anyway, tangent.
Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.
Vertices Unite. That's what I was going to talk about. Oh, I nearly dropped the yarn. I have made some good progress on this. I haven't worked on this actually since, not a lot. Well, I have obviously worked on it. What am I trying to say? I've made this much progress. So I was just where those 2 stitch markers are last time I worked on this. So I've made a decent amount of progress on it, but I haven't worked on it much in the last few days. My new cast-ons, which I will talk to you about in a minute, have taken up a lot of my time, and they're quite important ones as well. But we are at the point now, I think, I don't know, where I'm starting to decrease. This section is starting to decrease down to a point again. So it's getting there. For anyone that doesn't know, this is, as I said, the Vertices Unite. It's a pattern by Stephen West. I'm knitting the largest size. There's 2 sizes in the pattern. There is a small and a large, and I am knitting the large size because I do love a big shawl. So as you can see, it's already pretty big. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it again. This colour, which I've talked about the colours before, this colour is called Grurple from Nora George Yarns. It's not coming across very well on the camera actually. It's kind of a purple with bits of green in. It's just looking quite grey on the camera there. And then I've got Bramble from Down Sheepy Lane and Jelly of the Month from Suburban Stitcher striped in that section. And then in that section there, we've got Geralt of Rivia and Hold On Tight from Down Sheepy Lane striped as well. So good progress being made, and I am very much enjoying it. So I'm hoping once I've finished the 2 things that I've cast on that are quite important, I will get some more time to work on these. Right, so while I'm talking about those new cast-ons, let's share them. And I'm going to have to use some editing magic now to be able to share them with you, because I've actually cast on a couple of samples for the Advent calendar this year, because I wanted to just double check the order of the colours and how they're working together and how the colours are playing off each other, so that I can get them in the right order. Because unlike last year, where the pattern, where the Advent calendar came with a pattern and the yarns were created in a pure fade to work in the pattern, this year, as I've talked about before, the Advent calendar is kind of themed around the history of Christmas. and looking back at kind of Christmas through the ages and things like that. So obviously each colourway is themed, which makes creating a coherent colour palette a little bit trickier. But I am planning the colours, or hoping that the colours will work so that you can put them in order in a project and they will kind of work one to the next into one project, even if it isn't quite a true fade. But it does mean that by the magic of editing, I'm going to have to make us go black and white before I show you. So we're now black and white. Can you see? You're like, what's happening? Why you're not black and white, mummy? What's going on? When I put the video up on YouTube, we will be black and white. It'll be magic. So the first thing I cast on was a cowl. Yeah, he's fine in here, don't worry. Tom checking that Arthur's all right in here with me. The first thing I cast on was a cowl to check the colours. And I did quite well. I got quite far with it. So I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 colours I've got into the cowl so far. And there's obviously 24. I haven't decided quite what I'm going to do with this because I've now changed up, based on what I've knit so far with this, I've changed the order of things, and I've now cast on a pair of socks so that I can kind of double check the order of things as well. So I think what I might do with this is I think I'm going to finish this colour, add a rib in the next colour, and then just cast it off, and Jasper can use this as a cowl for the winter. So it'll get used. And if anybody is interested, it's not a pattern. Well, it's kind of a pattern. Basically, all I did is I took the Land of Sweets cowl pattern and I used kind of the numbers from that. So I cast on the same number of stitches as is in that pattern. And then I've done like the same number of rows for the rib. And then what I've done is, so for each colour, you can probably see, I'm trying to think because obviously you can't see the colour. So if I show you in this section here, which has got a higher contrast, then hopefully this will come up all right in the black and white. But then what I did is I did the same number of colours per section as the Land of Sweets cowl, but then I just literally did a quick fadey bit. So I did 1 row of the new colour, 1 row of the old colour, and then 8 rows of the main colour again, and then 1 row of the new, 1 row of the old, just to get a little bit of an idea of how things look between the different sections. So yeah, it's been very useful for planning the advent calendars. But I don't think I'm going to get all 24 colours into this because I know that the order is now wrong. But what I have started doing is I sat down with all the colours, because basically the way I worked it is I planned out all my colours and I put them all in an order that I thought they would work in when I'd dyed them. I then obviously dyed them. And then what I've done is I've looked and I've realised that actually, you know, that one's come out a little bit darker than when I kind of planned the colour in my head. So it doesn't quite work in that position in the order, and I've moved it around a little bit, and that was where this was really helpful. And then now that they're all dyed, I've been able to kind of lie them out and go, right, okay, now I know how these two colours kind of work together. This is the order that they need to go in. And then I'm testing that using a pair of scrappy socks, which I've not got quite as far in, but what you should be able to see, hopefully, is that these kind of start at the same point. So the cuff is just a light grey. The cuff is nothing to do with the advent calendar at all. I just wanted to put in a neutral cuff so that I could work out what I was doing. And if you can see, this is starting in the same order. So I'm starting with colour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So hopefully you can see from this in black and white, we'll find out, won't we, that there's more contrast between the colours, which I think works a lot better in the sequence at the moment than there is in this. Colours 1, 2, 3 and 4 in this, just there wasn't high enough contrast to then go into when there were higher contrasts later on. It didn't really work. But I am much happier with the way that this is working. Obviously you can't see the colours that go between the contrasts, so it's a little bit tricky for you to get an idea, but it is working a lot better, and I am so glad that I have cast this sample on. I'm not doing anything fancy. It's just a vanilla sock, and I'm just doing, I think I did 10 rows of rib at the top, and then I'm doing 5 rows of each colour. And I've worked out that if I do 55 rows down the leg and 65 rows down the foot with 5 rows of each colour, that should give me 24 stripes as such. So that's the plan. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So let me put these away. I'm attached to, oh, it's because I'm putting them away in the wrong bags. Let me put those away. And then once they are away, we can safely, by the magic of editing once again, go back to colour. You're very confused, aren't you? Right, okay, so what else did I want to talk about? I'm going to have another sip of drink. Is that you clicking your... Did you just click like that? You clicked your fingers and we've gone back to black and white. We've gone back to black and white. You're going to have to click your fingers again to take us back to colour. Okay, that's better. Thank you. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk about was some blanket progress.
I don't get it.
I will show you once I've edited the video. I will show you what happens. I've lost the plot now. Oh dear, right. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is some blanket progress. I am admitting defeat on my square a day, keeping up with my square a day for the SCR1 TNO podcast. But I am still working on my granny stripe blanket. No, it's not a granny stripe blanket at all. On my cozy memories blanket. So this is where we are at the moment. It is massive. It is impossible to share it on the screen. But what I can do is show you the most recent squares that I have added. So we have got a random mini that I don't know about, a random mini that I don't know about, more random minis. That's not one that I've added recently. Where are we for the ones I've added recently? Right, here we go. This one is my piglet, no it's not, it's my rabbit colourway from my Winnie the Pooh collection. This is just a random green mini. This is a random mini that I got in a scrappy swap. So's that one. So's that one. This one, I think this was the colourway from Third Vault Yarns as part of the 12 Days of Christmas collaboration boxes last year. Another random one. This one is a mini skein that I got from the Knitting Goddess. Yeah. This is my piglet. This is my piglet colourway for the Winnie the Pooh minis. That's Eeyore from the Winnie the Pooh minis. That is Kanga and Roo from the Winnie the Pooh minis. And then those two again are just random minis that I've gained in swaps. As I think are those three as well. But yeah, significant progress has been made. But I have currently got 251 squares. And for the end of September check-in, I need 274 squares, which is 23 more than what I've got at the moment. And only 9 days in which to knit them in, which is not going to happen because I really need to work on that advent sample so that I know for certain when I start packing the advents that I've got everything in a right order and I'm happy with the order. I also have got some other things that I really want to cast on. As I was saying in the last episode, I want to knit some teacher gifts. And I also want to knit some Christmas presents as well. So knowing that I want to knit those kind of things and work on those kind of things, I just know this isn't going to get the time to keep up with the square a day. But that being said, I am so glad that I took part in it, even if I haven't made the whole year and done a whole square a day. I am so glad I took part in it because I would never have got this blanket to this stage of completion without taking part in that make along, because I just wouldn't have dedicated as much time to it as I have done, basically. So I am so glad that Sharon hosted it, and I am so glad that I took part in it, even if I'm not quite going to complete it. was that. That's what I was going to say about. What was I also going to talk about? That's it for knitting content. I was going to talk a little bit about some shop news. I've not got a lot going on in the next few weeks because I am, as I said, in the midst of Advent dyeing, which is absolute chaos. I've worked out that I think I've got probably 11, somewhere between 11 and 15 full days of dyeing in order to get all the Advents dyed up. I then, of course, also still need to wind them and package them and then ship them, which also takes a lot of time. So that is taking up most of my time at the moment. And it's also where I'm struggling to share things on social media this week because all I'm doing is dyeing up Advents. But I have dyed up a few sock blanks today. I'm going to try and get a few sock blanks dyed up this week, and I think I'm going to pop a few sock blanks in the shop at the weekend. I'm not going to do like a shop update as such. I will just pop a message up on social media at the weekend to say that I've put them in the shop whenever I have, but they'll probably go up on Saturday at some point. So that's that. My next proper big full update, which will hopefully have some more stripes in, as well as hopefully a new collection. Bless you. Hopefully a new collection that I am planning as well. That will be happening the weekend of the 23rd, 24th of October. That should have been Glasgow School of Yarn. Bless you again. That should have been Glasgow School of Yarn. They are supposed to be doing some kind of online event, but I haven't got the full details of that yet, so I don't know. But I'm planning a shop update for that weekend anyway. Right, that's that. Now, I was going to just have a little chat about some life news as well. Exciting things that have been happening this week. But if you're not interested in that, that's absolutely fine. I don't regularly do a life news section, so I can understand it. And if you're not, I'll say goodbye to you now. But I just wanted to share a few things. You might have seen on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram this week, that I mentioned about going to look at houses and things like that. And today we have put in an offer. Well, this week it's a bit different. In Scotland, it works a little bit differently to how it works in England. So basically we've put in an offer on a house that we've seen. It is very close. It's just around the corner. It's actually closer to the boys' school than we are now, which we didn't think was possible, but it is. And it's lovely. It's got a lot of potential. It's 3 bedrooms, but it's got a dining room that we could have used as an office because it's got a kitchen diner that would work quite well. It's got a garage, which the eventual plan is to renovate the garage. If anybody has had a garage, like an old concrete garage with kind of a corrugated roof, it's a separate one to our house. It's not an integrated garage. It's a separate garage, concrete garage with a corrugated roof, as I said. If anyone has had a garage like that converted or renovated and had electricity put in and stuff like that, then let me know. If you don't mind sharing roughly how much it cost you, that would be amazing. But that's kind of the long-term plan. I will need to save up for that. Yeah, I'll need to save up for that quite considerably. But it's got the potential for that to happen. Where are you going? Okay, careful, find the light. He's gone. We've got the potential for that to happen. So fingers crossed. But basically what happens up here is you can put in a verbal offer, and if they've not had lots of other offers, then they may accept your verbal offer. But as it is, there have been 3 other offers made today. So they have set what they set a closing date. So the closing date is Friday, at which point, so all 4 people put in their offers, and it's done as like a closed bidding. So we put in an offer, and that is what our office is stuck at, basically. And then on Friday, once the bidding closes, all of those offers are given to the seller, and they look through the offers and then they decide who they're going to sell to, basically. Now, obviously, I'd imagine that a lot of the time it goes to the highest bidder. But the solicitor, when we spoke to the solicitor today, did say that people often take into account. It's coming back. People often take into account the position you're in. So we're in a very favourable position in that we currently rent, and in Scotland you only need to give a month's notice, and we've got no pressure as to kind of when we need to move by or when we want to move by. So hopefully that will play in our favour. But anyway, exciting potential. We've now just got a week of kind of panicking about whether we're going to get the house or not get the house or quite what. But the offer does apparently goes in with a little covering letter, which we've kind of said in the covering letter that, you know, look, this is our situation. We rent, we're nice and easy to move. We've got no pressure. The people who are in the house already are moving into a new build. So they just need to wait for the new build to be finished. So, you know, we can quite happily wait until that's done. It's not a problem. So, yeah. So that is the plan. Anyway, obviously it's now getting into the scary finance side of things and making sure that we can afford everything. But fingers crossed it all goes through. Anyway, that was my little life news update. I thought you'd be interested to know. We are still hoping in a couple of weeks' time to head down to the Lake District with my parents, but as I'm sure many of you in the UK are aware, the COVID situation is getting a little bit dicey again, and there is talk of new restrictions being introduced again. So we are still kind of waiting to know whether that's going to affect our holiday or not. But fingers firmly crossed that we can still go. And if we are still able to go, then I am still planning to do kind of a little vlog of our week in the Lake District. Yeah. Anyway, I am going to stop rambling now, and I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very, very much for watching. I will be back again hopefully next week with more details and news on whether we got the house or not, because we should know by then. So, are you going to say goodbye too?
Goodbye.
So we will leave it there, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.